Hello, welcome back. It's been a while. I'm so happy to be back, and I'm back with a long-awaited video, part 2 of my eyeshadow palette collection. I know I did a part 1 because the video was so long, so I had to split it, and part 1 is already up, so I'll link that video down below in case you want to watch it. But here's finally the second part, which is gonna be an exciting one because on this part there's some of my favorite palettes. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much for waiting for this video. So let's go ahead and get started. We're getting to the end with the most exciting palettes. Let's go ahead and talk about Morphe eyeshadow palettes. Let's talk first about this Morphe. This is the 3502 palette. Yes, that's what it is. 35 because it has 35 eyeshadows in case you weren't aware. This is just what it looks like. A lot of similar tones within the palette, but it's still pretty. I've only worn it a couple of times and the eyeshadows blended well. I didn't have any issues with it. I just think it's a little bit hard to wear. For me, it's a little bit tough to wear this eyeshadow palette because sometimes I tend to wear the same eyeshadow because for me, I don't know, this might look too similar, and then whenever I think of doing an eyeshadow, I go back into the same one instead of like maybe trying something new. So that's my thing, like I just kind of keep gravitating to the same colors, but it's still very pretty. I have ordered 2 eyeshadow palettes from Morphe, so I think with the other 2 that I have, I technically didn't need this one. But if you love this kind of tones, sure, why not? You have all of them in one palette. So the other palette is the Jaclyn Hill palette, of course. This is the first Morphe eyeshadow palette that I ever bought, and I was impressed because the other eyeshadows palettes didn't look, I mean, I heard like kind of like mixed reviews, but with this one, I fell in love with the color range, and then once I tried it, it was great, especially for the price. I think you can find maybe more creamier formulas, yes, or maybe more pigmented out of the batch, but for the price this is great. And it's not hard to build up. I mean, they're already pigmented. I'm just saying they're not like metallics from Natasha Denona or the mattes from Anastasia. I love the mattes from Anastasia. I know some people don't, but I do. But it's very pretty. Also like very wearable. You can create so many colors and you still have your pops. Again, I have my greens for my brown eyes, and then I have a purple. This one is like a bluish purple. I wish it was a little bit more blue, but sometimes depending on how much pigmentation you add, it tends to look a little bit of a purple. But still very pretty, wearable. You can create so many looks. So if you are in the market to buy a Morphe eyeshadow palette, I think this is the best one in my personal opinion. Of course, go to the eyeshadow palette that you like the colors of, but I think this one is a great eyeshadow palette. And my third eyeshadow palette from Morphe is the Dare to Create 39A. This one has 39 eyeshadows. It's humongous, like it's bigger than my face and neck, but I love it. This is either top 5 eyeshadow palette, or if not, definitely in my top 10. And look at this beautiful baby. Just everything I need in one palette. That's why I love it so much. It would be good if it had like a mirror, maybe not the whole thing because it would be pretty heavy, but at least like something, and then it would be the best palette ever. Because I love wearing my purples, I love wearing my browns, blues and greens, all the colors I ever need in my life. And that make my eyes pop. I find brown eyes look good with greens, blues or purple, so this is all that I need in one. Also, you get these kind of transition colors, but they look good also. You can use them for contouring or bronzing. They blend beautiful. The colors are pigmented. I find that you don't need to use a wet brush. You can just use a dry brush, but of course you want more pigmentation, you can use that, but it's not necessarily to use your brush wet. And if you can see, that color is very similar to this one. If not, they might be the same. So for that reason, that's why I'm telling you, like, unless you really like these tones and you don't care about the other one, sometimes you don't need to buy this one. I can use between this one and the Morphe, I'm good at, so that's why I don't tend to gravitate for the 3502 that much, because these ones just have me covered. Let's talk about some Melt Cosmetics. So here's a stack. Oops. So this stack is the She's in Parties stack. This one is a 4 eyeshadow. I know she has some that are 5 eyeshadow stacks. This is 4, and this is what the tones. Very beautiful plums colors. I like because they come subtly, and if you want more pigmentation, I do find that you need to build up the mattes, and the point of this metallic, you do need to wet your brush. But I do like that part because actually I can wear this palette for the office because it's just like a muted subtle color, but then I can build it up for like a smoky eye or like just more pigmented purple look. It's more of a burgundy than a purple, but I really like this stack. I feel it suits my personality. And then I have her like Pro palette, which technically you have to buy it separately, and it just opens like individually. It comes with that kind of like protector. It's a little bit of pain, honestly, to have this palette, because I wish it just opened like that together. So now I have 2 separate stacks. It's a little bit annoying. So this is one stack. This is the Rust stack. I think this is one of the best neutral eyeshadow palettes out there. They're wearable and different at the same time. They're in the grungy part, like you can make a grungy eye look, and I love that. It's like a rusty, mustardy look, if that makes any sense, but it still looks natural. So I really like that part, because sometimes, as I said, I need my office makeup looks, and I can still wear this one because it's just so pretty. This color is everything. And then I just have a random Lovesick. This is from the Lovesick eyeshadow stack, but I didn't buy the whole stack. I just bought Lovesick because it's such a beautiful red eyeshadow. And then I have the Gunmetal stack, which is this beautiful metallic color. So it only comes with a matte, which is this kind of like taupe, like a gray taupe matte. Then it has like this shimmery. I recommend wetting your brush or putting some glitter glue behind this, because then you might get some fallout. And be careful, like I tap whenever I put these ones, but the looks that you create with these ones are beautiful. You can create them just by themselves, or I recommended using it with the other eyeshadow stacks, or bringing other or gravitate to other eyeshadow palettes and then pairing them with these colors. So pretty. Then this stack is the Dark Matter stack, and this is also a 4-pan stack, more in the dramatic side, because I mean, if you just have these 4, I mean, you can use just these 2, I guess, for a natural look, but then besides that, it's just more of a dramatic look. But it's a great combination, like with this, like you can wear these colors and then add on top some of these, and it looks very beautiful. And if you want to compare from the dark stack and Lovesick has a little bit more of that red, like it's brighter, while this one is more of like a red brick. So in case you wanted a comparison. So that's it for my eyeshadows from Mel Cosmetics. I usually, whenever I buy them, is whenever it's Black Friday, because they do almost like 50%. I don't think it's a 50%, but they do really good sales on their stacks. So that's the only time that I honestly buy them, because they're a tad pricey, but it's still, if you pay the full price, they're still worth it. And I do not recommend this. This is like too big and too chunky, and this is again also one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes ever. I just love this one because of, hold on, let's just start. So this is what it looks like. It comes like in this box, and then you just open it. It has your mirror, and these are the colors. So this is the Blood Sugar palette from Jeffree Star. Beautiful colors, definitely not in the wearable side. This is definitely a statement eyeshadow palette, but I love it. I love wearing this type of like red colors and plum colors for going to concerts or a night look. Like these are usually the colors that I gravitate to, and I find this palette to be beautiful. Also, you would be surprised how beautiful these colors blend together. I find it not to look muddy. Like this is a palette that you can start adding colors and then you see how they blend with the other eyeshadows and they just look pretty instead of getting lost or muddy. So I really like that of this palette. And even though it's still a statement, you still have a little bit of like a less dramatic looks, but still I don't think it's it would be pretty hard to make like an everyday look. But if you like these colors and you're gonna wear them, I highly recommend it. The colors blend well. You do need to work a little bit because they're really pigmented, so go with a lighter hand and they can look a little bit patchy at the beginning, but eventually they'll, with the blending and adding pigmentation, will be fine. I don't think it's a formula thing, it's just the nature of these type of colors. So that's the Blood Sugar palette from Jeffree Star. Now Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes. I have 3 of them. I mean, from the big ones you saw the small 5 pan, but these are the big eyeshadow palettes that I have. I actually started my Natasha Denona collection with the Star palette, which I actually don't like that much. I had a very bad experience with the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette at the beginning. This color was just like flaky. I've never seen that much fallout ever in my life. And then for the price, I think this one is 160, so I was this close to return it. But then she has some other like more like metallic instead of like glittery formula, so the metallic ones work well, and the mattes are also pretty. As I said, I love like the plums, so for that I think those 2 plums are the ones that are like fine, I'll keep it. And I wore it every like other colors and it's fine, but I'm still kind of like, I don't tend to grab this one that much because I'm always scared and I need like to actually sit down and have time just in case something goes wrong. Then I bought this Sunset palette, which is this beautiful super warm eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like. Very beautiful colors. I've actually used it quite a bit. I'm actually surprised because I usually, even though I like warm tones, I usually will tend to gravitate for other eyeshadow palettes, but this one is great. This one was the one that brought back like, oh, this is what Natasha Denona is about, because with the Star palette I didn't understand. It's like, how can they be so expensive and they're just okay? But this one is great. The mattes blend beautifully, the shimmers are great. I mean, you still need to go with a careful hand because you might not, because if not you might end up with some fallout, but not as like the Star palette. But beautiful. And bonus, these 3 colors wearing for an office makeup look is beautiful. For some reason this kind of like shimmer, it's not a shimmer, it's just a satin color, looks beautiful on my skin tone. I don't know what it does. It's like those kind of colors that just makes me look beautiful. I don't know. It's just the color, it looks great on my skin tone, and these beautiful mattes, it's great. So I like that even though it still has some statement colors, I can still wear it for every day, because sometimes I feel bad. Just some of my favorite eyeshadow palettes, they just sit there because they're not for an everyday look. So I like this one. Last but not least, Natasha Denona palette is the Lila palette, which is these gorgeous purple mauve colors. I mean, how beautiful that is. It's just so many beautiful colors. And I think this is one of the easiest purple palettes that I've used. I know sometimes purples either that they don't come off as pigmented or they don't blend as well, and this one I feel is one of the easiest ones. And I also, the arrangement I think is very easy to look, and it has some great mattes. Maybe the only thing that I wish this palette had was a matte purple. That's it. But besides that, you can still put some of these purples in your crease. This is not as wearable as for everyday, but I can still get away with some colors like with this kind of like rose gold taupe color. It's not a rose gold, not even a taupe. I feel it's more of a taupe color, or taupe, however you say it. So I stick to these 3, and it also looks very beautiful. This purple is beautiful on brown eyes, just saying. Now moving on to the best part, and this is now the end. We're talking about Anastasia eyeshadow palettes. I love Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadows, like from the singles to the eyeshadow palettes. I think they're one of the best out there in the market. I know they can be a little bit controversial, but at least the way that I wear them, I've never had any issues with them. The pigmentation is there and the blendability, so I love it. I also love the combination that Anastasia makes on the eyeshadow palettes. I think they're unique and so creative. So before we move to the eyeshadow palettes, I would like to talk about the eyeshadow singles that I have from her. And I have it in this Sephora C palette. And you open it, and I have these single eyeshadows. All of them are from the permanent collection. I haven't worn all of them, but I love Star Cobalt. Is a good one, a good blue. It's not like Kim Kardashian blue eyeshadow, but it's still very pretty, and it has also some sparkle, so it's nice because it adds a little bit of dimension to the eyelid. But my favorite is this purple one called Labyrinth. This is, this one is Labyrinth. It looks beautiful on brown eyes. It's such a beautiful purple. It has a little bit of brown, so it makes it very wearable, and it just looks amazing on my eyes. I absolutely love that purple. Also, a good color is this one Macaroon, which is this lilac color, but it's not a completely lilac. It has a little bit of pink, so it makes it look good, because sometimes lilacs can kind of wash you off, especially if you're tan skin, but this one is very pretty. So, and the best part of the video, I absolutely love Anastasia. As you can tell, I don't have all the shadow palettes from her. Why? Because I think I was too late on the boat of Anastasia, and because I'm a dumbass. That's why. And I skipped some of them because I thought I didn't need them, and they were limited edition, and now I need them. And anyway, everything started with the artist palette. I know this is not the a lot of people's favorite, but when this is the way that I try Anastasia, and I absolutely love it. It has a lot of pretty pop colors, but it still has like the purples that I always tend to wear, and it still had this blue, this kind of moss green, so you just have really pretty colors. I haven't worn this one that often lately. By lately I mean for a while, but whenever it came out I wore it quite a bit, and this is how I fell in love with Anastasia eyeshadows. So that's the artist palette. Then the next one that I got is the Self-Made palette. This one has an extra row of eyeshadows, and this one has been well loved. Why? Yep. I didn't break it, I'm serious. I just keep kind of like pasting it back together because that's how much well loved it is. Hopefully you can see how well loved it is. But it has a lot of beautiful colors. Some of them, like for example this one and this one, are a little bit maybe not your everyday. They're more for like a statement eyeshadow look. But besides that, all of them, I think you can wear them for an everyday. I love wearing hot and cold all over my eyelid. And it has a little bit of sheen, but it's still not enough, like not too much, that I can still wear it like as a transition color, and it just looks beautiful. I don't know, I just love this palette. I love Blossom, even though it's a pink, it's still a wearable pink. I just love the subtle colors that you can get away to wearing every day. It's kind of like ha ha ha. Oh, I'm wearing some eyeshadow color. You can. Let's not talk about that, what just happened. But this one is one of my favorites from Anastasia. Next one is the Modern Renaissance, which everyone loves and raves about. And the quality is there, the colors are beautiful. This one has a little like the packaging of velvet, the velvet packaging. And I'm sure you know how it looks, which is these beautiful warm red tones, burgundy colors, but I don't wear it that often. Why? I don't know. I feel whenever I want to wear red tone, I tend to wear either the Blood Sugar palette or some other palette. But these ones, I don't know why. I feel like these red tones are on the pinkier side whenever I like it on the purple or brick tone. And this one, I think that's the main reason, I think. And I feel these colors are not as, you cannot get away with a everyday color. At least I think so. I haven't been able to create one. I feel like every time I try to create an everyday color, it comes too warm or too reddish. Like I've tried this antique bronze and it still makes me a little bit like I have a little bit of a red undertone, and these colors I still think they're too pigmented, so for that reason I don't tend to grab it. I still think it's a beautiful palette, especially if you're gonna wear these eyeshadows. I think it's beautiful, but for me it's not one of my favorites. But I know probably a lot of people, if they talk about their favorite eyeshadow palette from Anastasia, they're probably gonna say this one. But for me, so far the ones that we talk, Self-Made palette. And talking about favorites, this one is also a favorite. You know what, I'm not gonna talk about favorites because almost all of the shadow palettes from Anastasia are my favorites, except Modern Renaissance, but I still enjoy it. And it's the Master Palette by Mario. Everybody knows about it. This is the beautiful eyeshadow palette. This is the most beautiful neutral palette. Bold statement. You know what? Not the most beautiful, because we're gonna talk about it in a second about another one. But this is one of the most beautiful neutral palettes. I just love it. It still has like a dark blue, like navy blue, and the moss green that I've been telling you about on brown eyes that looks beautiful. You get these 3 mattes, which are enough honestly for this palette. I mean, you might, depending on the look that you're going, you might need to gravitate for another eyeshadow palette, but I usually just keep it with these ones. And the shimmers are beautiful. They just blend onto the skin and kind of melt and just look beautiful, and by looking kind of like sophisticated, editorial, but at the same time not too much. They're just the most beautiful. But breaking my happiness, it was limited edition, so for that reason I don't tend to use it that much. I honestly should have bought a backup, that way I can use this one, cause Muse, hopefully you can see it, but it has a dip. And it has a little bit, even though it's a brown, it has a little bit of a purple undertone, and it's the most beautiful color on my eyelid. Next palette is the Subculture palette, which this one is a controversial palette. I'm sure you've heard of it and I'm sure you've seen it. Well, there it goes, the shadow brush. This is what it looks like. This is still what it looks like. Happily, it still looks fine. I love that palette. I don't know what people are saying. The only thing that I can think is the kick up, but honestly the other eyeshadow palettes from her also give me kick up, especially in the mattes. On the shimmers I don't find it to be any kick up, but besides that, all the other eyeshadow palettes give me any. Maybe this one has a little bit extra, but I don't really care. I am careful on my application of eyeshadow. I can totally see someone who is more confident and maybe a makeup artist, like they can go with a harder hand and a stronger application. But for me, I usually go on the lighter hand, because even though I've done my makeup for a while, I'm still kind of scared. I need to blend. I prefer going on the safer side, so maybe that's why I haven't had any issues with this palette. I love it. I love All Star and Rowdy, just kind of like a monotone color, so just go All Star all over my lid and Rowdy and smoking it, and I just love that eye look with some eyeliner, mascara, and then put a leather jacket. That's how I feel the most confident probably going out. I just absolutely love it. Also, I've never seen this arrangement of eyeshadows before, so I think this is one of the most unique eyeshadow palettes out there. In my personal opinion, I do recommend it, but just be aware that you might have a little bit of issues. But as I said, I didn't experience any, and this is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes to go for like an event or concert. Next one is the Prism palette, which it came during the holidays, and it looks like this. I'm not crazy about it. It's not that it's not good. It's fine. It's the same as the other. It's the same quality as the previous palettes, and it has really cool, interesting colors like Sphere. Even though I haven't tried it, but this one, this kind of neon yellow green, looks beautiful. I still need to try it. And Dimension and Osiris are beautiful. So this blue purpley, and then this one like a blue silver, are beautiful. So I do love those colors, and I also love Lure. But for some reason I just don't tend to gravitate it. I usually, if I want like
a bolder look. I usually tend to gravitate for other palettes, but this one is still really good. I'm happy that I have it, but I don't think it was a must palette. And now we have reached the last eyeshadow palette, finally. And it's the Soft Glam palette. I left my favorite palette of all time till the end. I love eyeshadow palettes. I love to collect them, so I never thought I could just have one favorite eyeshadow palette. Like all the time I had like my top 5, my top 10, but I didn't have like my favorite palette until this one. Soft Glam, every kind of look that I try, I feel that I look good on it. You can create so many looks. I'm gonna show you the palette. So this is the palette. And this is the palette that I'm wearing today. It's so versatile because you can create natural eye looks, but at the same time you can make it bolder and more like going out looks. You have your brown, so you can create like a brown tone color, but then rosies. And usually I find rose pinks, those colors not to work that well with my skin tone and my eye color, but these ones work beautifully. And then you can create smokier and then grungy. I just feel this palette suits all different type of my moods, and it just nails it down. I just love this palette. I don't know what else to say besides I love it. I can wear it every day going to work, and different looks also, not just one. And if I want to spice it up, I can as well. I just love this palette. It's permanent, which I'm not afraid of then dipping my brush. I'm definitely seeing now dips on Dusty Rose, Orange Soda, Rose Pink, so I'm not scared of using this one. So sadly we reached the end of this video. I hope you enjoy it. I absolutely love eyeshadows, so I love talking about them. If you want maybe something specific, maybe an eyeshadow look or maybe a review of any of these eyeshadows, please let me know, because I certainly love talking about eyeshadow palettes and doing eye looks. If you have a question, also please leave it down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.